Guilty pleasures. Everybody's got them. Everybody's got a movie or a song or a band or TV show that you might be a little bit embarrassed to admit you like it, but you just can't help yourself. You really do. That is how I feel about The Expendables. Arguably, of all three movies, arguably, they are all shit. I acknowledge that. I accept that. I'm not here to tell you that they're great movies. They're not. They're movies that I enjoy because I am a fan of all of the big action stars in those movies, and it's amazing to see them all finally share a screen. Would it have been better 30 years ago? Yes, it would have. It would have been. Here's a tip for the Expendables 4. Have a scene, one scene, just one, where you use that de-aging technology, and bring them all back to like 1988, and have one scene of it. People would go nuts. I'm here today to talk about actually the movie that is the least popular in a not that popular series, The Expendables 3. The Expendables 3 gets a lot of crap because it chose a PG-13 rating when the first two had been rated R. Decision that didn't really bother me because I didn't feel like the other movies were particularly deserving of R ratings. The first one had a little bit of swearing in it. A lot of CGI blood spurts. The second one, they didn't swear hardly at all because, as I understand it, Chuck Norris wouldn't do it if the movie had any swearing in it. So that's all gone. And again, more CGI blood spurts, not that gory. Expendables 3, and I've got the Blu-ray, so it's the uncut version, although that doesn't make much of a difference. They didn't add blood to it. There's one moment where you hear Wesley Snipes say motherfucker, and that's it. Expendables 3 is looked at as the weakest of the three movies, and I would say that it is not as good as 2, but better than 1. A lot of people think 1 is the best. I disagree because 1 is the movie that has the least amount of interaction with the big, iconic guys that we're all there to see. Yeah, okay, there's Terry Crews and Randy Couture, and okay, fine. I don't want to see those guys. I especially Terry Crews. I like Terry Crews, but man, you could have swapped them out. Put Wesley Snipes and I don't know, somebody like, or let's go with people who haven't been in the movies yet. You could have swapped them out with like Carl Weathers and Michael Biehn, and I would have been more excited for that movie because at least those were action stars I remember from back in the day. Expendables 2 had that great scene at the end with Schwarzenegger and Stallone and Bruce Willis fighting Van Damme, and there's Chuck Norris, and there's Dolph Lundgren, and it's like the thing that I'd been waiting for since I was 5 years old when I watched Rambo 2. Expendables 3 arguably has the better cast, actually. Bruce Willis is missed, but only because he's Bruce Willis, and he did Die Hard. He really didn't. He kind of, especially the second movie, he sleepwalked through his part, as he does so often nowadays. But in his place, we get Harrison Ford. And while Van Damme is like, you feel like, yeah, he was one of the great, he's like one of the big four action stars, like from that era. And then they go like, well, here's Mel Gibson. And you go, fuck, Mel Gibson? Oh, how did I not even think of Mel Gibson? Mel Gibson being like, I mean, he did Lethal Weapon and Ransom and Payback and all these great action movies, and yet he's such a serious actor, and he did the and a great director and everything, that you forget, like, oh yeah, he's an action star. Um, and then bringing in Antonio Banderas, bringing in Wesley Snipes. Um, I thought they really fleshed out the cast, and they really made a stronger cast. I mean, Jet Li sort of had less to do in each movie, to the point where really you don't even know why he's in the third one. The second one, he just weirdly disappears. It's a very strange. He's in the beginning and then he just disappears and you never see him again. In this one, he shows up at the end, and it's funny. There's an implied romance between him and Schwarzenegger, which I thought was okay. That's not what I expected from those guys, but okay, cool. Um, Plot. Who gives a shit about the plot? Mel Gibson's the bad guy. That's all you need to know. It doesn't matter what the stakes are or any of that. It's Mel Gibson's the bad guy. Here's all these action stars come to fight him. Um, the weak point of the movie, and I think what keeps this from being better than the second movie, is the addition of young Expendables. That is not what we go to see these movies for. Those of us who appreciate them, who enjoy them, we didn't go to see these kids in their 20s who, none of whom were established action stars. It wasn't like they said, okay, let's get Chris Hemsworth and Vin Diesel or whoever like the next gen action guys are. Let's get them. They didn't say that. They were like, here's a dude from Twilight, a boxer who I don't know if he's ever acted a day in his life. I don't know who that computer hacker was. And the only one that, in my opinion, made some sense was Ronda Rousey. I mean, obviously, Ronda Rousey isn't what she was at the time of the release of this movie. But at the time of the release of this movie, yeah, Ronda Rousey was absolutely, and she was huge. She was this phenomenon. I could absolutely understand why they would want Ronda Rousey in this movie. She should have been it. Like, I don't know, she's Schwarzenegger's daughter or she's something like that. Bring her in, but the rest of them were useless. I mean, Ronda Rousey at least had a good fight scene in the movie. She obviously, you could see that she knows what she's doing and can handle herself. The rest, I didn't feel that at all. And it detracts. You know, it's like the movie starts, there's momentum, things are happening, and then the movie stops. So that Kelsey Grammer, for some reason, can show up and help Stallone recruit this team of younger people. And it didn't even make sense to me. It didn't make sense at all. Stallone, Terry Crews gets injured, almost dies. Stallone feels guilty, and so he decides to retire his teammates. He wants to go after Mel Gibson. It's basically, he sees it as a suicide mission. So he retires his old teammates, these old men who had lived full lives. And he's like, I'm going for a suicide mission. I feel guilty getting these guys killed. Let's get a bunch of fucking 20-year-olds who have their whole lives ahead of them and get them killed instead. And he shows no regard for the lives he's endangering in his quest for vengeance. And then at the end, they all get kidnapped, and he has to go rescue them. And look, the movie's not good. I'm not gonna tell you it is. It's not good, but it's fun. It's a fun movie. It's stupid, but it's stupid in like a fun kind of stupid kind of way. I enjoy it. None of the Expendables movies would get over three stars for me. I think like Expendables 2 I'd probably give 3, so I'm going to give this 2.5. It's not a great movie, but I like it. I can watch it. I watched it just recently. I enjoyed it. It's so bad. They're so bad. But these guys are bad. And so that's what makes it good.